Hi everyone, welcome back. It is Friday. I say Friday someday at the end of August in 2021. I've been having that experience like at the beginning of the pandemic where you didn't really know what day it was. It's been happening, but I do know that it's Friday today. Typically we record our detox of the week on Tuesday here with Angela in one of her sessions, but I can't remember what happened on Tuesday, but we are here today. And so we look forward to sharing the energy. And something that I realized during the quarantine is that the energy of the practice does flow through this lens, if you will, the online element. I wasn't sure how that was going to feel, but you can certainly feel it. You could feel it a little bit more when you know who's practicing live. At one point there was hundreds of people that were practicing live. Now I realize most of you are doing the classes on demand when they work for you in your schedule, but still you can feel. So what we hope is to get into our practice, and you are getting a real perspective of our practice. This is us sitting in these poses and breathing and observing, and there's nothing that you feel that you need to put on. It's a real experience, and we hope that you can feel the energy of that, whether it's a calm or helps you get through and stay with some of the stillness that you may be feeling based on, or stillness that we hope you can sit with based on the resistance that you're sitting in. So, and we're all in it together. We have to remind ourselves of that. It is a lot going on out as always in the world, and so nothing wrong with reminding ourselves that we're all in it together. So have a great practice today. If you have any pillows or props that you want to have alongside of you and to support you in the positions, please have those beside you. If you want to have something to drink, if you want to put on some light ambient music of sorts, you could always select a detox playlist from our Spotify account as well. And the link to that is in all the videos. So you can always go out on Spotify, check out in the playlist if you like music. But all you really need, you don't even need the mat, just your body and the ground, any piece of ground. You could be outside in the grass and wherever you can stream this class from. So we're going to start lying down onto our backs. And feet are apart, but not too far apart. If you start to separate the legs too wide, you'll feel your outer hips grip, depending. And so then back the legs in a little bit closer. And then we can begin to release, the legs responsible for moving you around in the world every single day. I know in my body, certainly, it feels like the muscles never want to let go. Maybe the more you do physically, the more active you are, right? There's tightness that builds from not doing things, and then there's also tightness that builds from doing things repetitively too much. So this is a practice in where we always like to mix it up, and I suggest at least once a week in a detox. And if you're like, okay, I can dig that once a week, then maybe even every night or every weeknight, it's a nice way to wind down. And so wherever you're coming from today, land on your back here and begin to observe what you're feeling anywhere in your body. There's no right or wrong way to feel this practice. It could be in a knuckle in your toe and that you become aware of. It could be the top of your left shoulder that you become aware of. Any part of your body. Bring some light movement into your fingers and your toes. And feel how your body and your mind are already adapting to the practice today. Bend both of your legs so that your feet are flat. Once your feet are flat, kick your heels out a little bit. Lift your bum and slide the hands underneath your bum. So you're sitting and we're putting our thumbs around the SI joints in the low back. So a thumbs above the SI joint and the rest of the hand below. And so your sacrum is literally falling into this triangular shape in between your hands. So make adjustments if you need to. You'll feel the tops of your glutes. You reset your shoulders and your head, and then once you can feel the sacrum floating in between the hands, and start to straighten your legs back out onto the mat. And you may feel this all the way up in your shoulders. It's internally rotating your shoulder, both sides. And it's a symmetrical setup, so the same thing is happening on both sides of your body. And you can certainly feel one more side, or one side more than the other. And we sit with the sensations as long as they're not painful. You're heading in that direction. You'll know the difference. You stretch and sitting in a pressure release. More even pressure itself is different. And then a sharp shooting sensation. bring both feet back flat. And watch and observe the sensation in your hands as you lift your bum, slide your hands out. And palms face up, open your left knee, straighten your right leg for tree leg. Arms by your sides. Go slow, bring your knee up, and switch your tree legs. And see whatever it is and that is being presented through the mind. Maybe something, it may start as something, and then as you continue to sit and release through the expression of your body, it may turn into nothing. And ride the waves, watch the sensations, and begin to straighten both legs onto the mat. A nice big stretch. Take your arms over your head, point your toes. Might feel good to yawn. And bend both of your legs, roll onto your left side so you're in the fetal position. Left hip into the mat, right hip stacked on top. And use your right hand to the mat, gentle transition, make your way up. Sit cross-legged facing the top of the mat, please. Make any adjustments if you need to. Put a pillow or a towel underneath your bum to sit a little more. Soft eyes, keep your left leg in front, swing your right leg behind, and land on your outer left hip. And from your outer hip to your shin. And you don't have to stress about taking your right leg back much at all. Crawl your hands forward today, come down onto your forearms. And it's probably better the more you keep your right knee, it's behind but not stretching behind. And the more you can focus on letting the weight come over your left leg. And support yourself with your forearms. Feet a little deeper, stack your fists, and let your forehead rest on your top fist. And if your forehead's not resting on something, it may feel better to let your forehead rest. And check in with any parts of your body that are holding on or gripping or feeling tight. And the primary sensation down the outside of your left leg. But you may feel this in many other places. And sit as relatively still as possible. And to lift your head, bring the weight back into your arms. And coming up to your palms. And all can stay relatively settled. Bring your right leg back in front. And release down onto your back, and we'll land in a rebound. And lying down onto your back, please, in Shavasana. The easiest way to describe it is that you had all of that compression placed into the hip. You added the upper body coming down with gravity. And so that compression settles in 3, 4, sometimes 5 minutes. And as you move out of it, all of that flow, all of that fresh flow can go back into the hip. Fresh flow means healing. And we're associating and drawing connections physically, mentally, emotionally. And so a lot of times practice will open in people's beliefs and beyond a system or how they were taught to believe or behave and think about themselves. And poses can open us up and seeing things a little differently, and certainly feeling things differently. And so be patient. No rush to judgment. Be patient. And bend your legs, bring your feet flat onto the mat. And right arm up, roll onto your right side this time. In fetal position, bend your legs. And place your left hand into the mat, into the floor. Begin to make your way up. Cross-legged seat at the top of the mat. Let your hands support you on your knees, head above your heart. practice can be a really nice way to explore meditation, and without having to make yourself sit for a prolonged period of time. Exploring meditation, and there's still enough entertainment with body. Lean to the right and swing your left leg behind you. And basically what you're feeling gives your mind something to do, and so that it can attach less into anything else that is going on around you or otherwise in life right now. And come forward down onto your forearms, elbows beyond the shin. As long as you're feeling something in your outer right thigh, outer right hip, if not, make some adjustments, and so that you do. If you're getting close to the floor, stack your fist, rest your forehead onto your fist. And be with your experience. And a lot of times we want to make something more than what it is. And the only thing that takes your mind away from the moment and what's happening right now is the fact that it can remember things. It has a memory into itself, and to recall things that have taken place, things that might take place. And so all of this can be worked out within ourselves. And quite simply sitting still in a position and longer than your mind may think it wants to be here. Let it be.
find that your body has a lot more and to share with you. And when you sit down and you're relatively still with it. If we keep moving, we keep going, and the body's got something to say, many times we ignore it. And this practice gives you the opportunity to see what your body actually wants to say to you. What is it trying to say? What is it saying? Begin to hover your head.
Elbows making your way back up to your palms. Keep it nice and low. Bring your left leg out in front. Release down onto the back. Take your time. Bend both of your legs, bring your feet flat. Roll through your left side. And so we'll be turning away. You'll be facing the back of your mat. Coming onto all fours. And then crawl your knees towards the back of your mat. Separate your knees mat width apart. And we'll set up for reclining hero. So this can be enough sitting on your shins with your ankles extended. And it's also a nice place if you want to insert your yoga blocks or your pillows, and so they support you underneath your back. And you can play with reclining backwards, and so your hips are in between your heels. And make your way down onto your elbows, or eventually all the way down onto the back of your head and your shoulders. And you will notice for me, as long as I'm not compressing and getting a lot of pressure in the low back. My knees are off the mat. Angela's knees are on the mat. Her shins are on the mat. Mine are floating. I'm feeling it in all the good places. Okay, but where you don't want to be feeling it is if it's just balled up in your low back. Okay, so if that's the case, you would come back up into your elbows, or definitely put some of those supports and pillows and blankets beneath you, and so that you can soften into a place where you're feeling it. The right places, front of your thighs and through your hip flexors, a little bit in your sacrum, the relationship from your inner thigh to your low back for sure. But a place where you can settle. And so this is going to be pretty different for every person. So I'm going to give you anywhere from now and up to 1 more minute to be in the shape. Right? Listen to your body. And when you need to come back up, when you feel that you should come back up, you gently, slowly bring yourself back up. And take your time as you make your way back up. And let your low back neutralize. Use your belly to support. And use your arms and your hands to support. And then from here, we're going to release all the way down onto the stomach. And so still facing this direction, the back of the mat.
Come down onto your belly, stretch your legs out behind you. And remember, it's the flow. The flow is healing. It's going through our legs. But it's also coming through our spine all the way down to our toes. Oh, this practice will slow you down. You can set your palms like a pillow, one hand over the other. And turn your right cheek onto your hands. And rest. And as you're feeling, a nice way to describe this whole thing is practice as we invest ourselves in the inward path, and so that we can evolve our relationship with everything around us, all the energy of the world. So we're not on the mat and thinking of the chaos of the world. And I know sometimes that can feel unrealistic. We're on the mat and to go inside and to experience the peace that sits in all of us. And once you can feel it and tap into it in the meditation, then you can take yourself back out into the world, and adjustments can be made as you include yourself with all the energy and all the beings, and the people that think like you and the people that don't. And this is how our practice changes in the world, one connection at a time. And switch to your left cheek. Go ahead and switch back to your right cheek, and so that we can roll onto our backs through the right side. And set yourself back onto your mat. And when you lie down, set your back flat as you can, all the way down to the low back. If you lift your hips an inch or two and then set your low back flat, and keep your legs bent. And then feel a light counter stretch and bring both knees into your chest. Very light squeeze, so you're not forcing it. Very light squeeze.
A few deep breaths in through your nose, out of your mouth. Exhale, feel the sigh. And let's release the shins. Let your legs go straight once again. And final rebound. So set yourself up. You may desire and come to realize that you actually enjoy being still. And you may end up staying here for a while, especially if you're doing this class in the evening. You might just fall asleep right here on your mat. And so the fade is okay. I say every exhale. And soften and make your breath a little more silent. And you feel your body unwind a little bit more. Remember, it's not that easy and to let the body unwind. The body is pretty wound up, and for good reason. All that it's been doing your whole life, but there's phases of life that can be a little bit more intense than other. And so if you're carrying a tight shoulder around, a tight hip, and keep exploring these detox practices. And they can seem intense when you're sitting in the moment, but that moment will also expand and hopefully create a little bit more space and for peace in your mind and the relationship with yourself, and therefore in the relationship with one another. If you get your whole tribe practicing, get your friends practicing, get your family practicing, everybody contributing into some inward practice, whether it's yoga, meditation, if you don't wish to include as much movement, and then watch all the space and that you all get to hover and participate in. It's quite nice. Take your time in your Shavasana, everybody. Have a beautiful Friday and great start to the weekend. And really let this practice serve you as you continue to relate to everything that is going on in the world. Big hearts, lots of love, a whole lot of compassion. Be kind to one another. And have a great rest of your day. Namaste.